Awful and embarrassing. It's the Mark Rogers TV Bottom 10. We released this a few weeks ago and had a whole lot of fun. It's not necessarily the 10 worst teams in the country. It's, let's say, the 10 most embarrassing teams or situations in the country. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We bring you the best in a college football discussion, debate, and analysis here on YouTube and elsewhere. You can like our Facebook page, for example. Follow us on Twitter as well. All right, here's the bottom 10. UCONN, let's see, they're 1-4, but they're 0-4 against FBS schools. They have given up 56, 62, 49, and that 49's to URI, the University of Rhode Island. 56, 62, 49, 51, and 49 points. They lost to Cincinnati last week after scoring the first touchdown of the game. They lost to the Bearcats 49-7. They have given up 166 points in 4 FBS games. That's over 41 points per game. UConn at number 10 under Randy Edsall, who, of course, did a fine job in lifting them to a number of bowl games, including the Fiesta Bowl in 2008, but a rough go of it this time around in Storrs, Connecticut. All right, number 9, Florida State, now replaced by Louisville. We thought this was very apropos. Florida State, of course, blown away by Virginia Tech. They struggled against Samford, lost by 23 at Syracuse. Yeah, they were a mess. The offensive woes just continued game after game after game. Well, Florida State ran into Louisville, and it looked like they were going to take another L on the road. And then the Seminoles scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, outscored the Cardinals by 2 touchdowns to win it, 28-24. So Florida State out of the bottom 10. Insert Louisville. They've got wins now against Indiana State and Western Kentucky by 3. That's how bad Louisville's been. Bobby Petrino's usually potent offense, 122nd in points per game this year, 121st in all of FBS in yards per game. So the offense has been awful, and Louisville's 2-3 with little hope of winning in the ACC. All right, at number 8, a standby right here. This is a staple of the bottom 10. Not Kansas, Rutgers. 1-4, 0-2 against FBS teams. 0-2 in the Big Ten as well. Okay. They lost this past week. This was a great showing for the Scarlet Knights. They only lost to Indiana 24-17. That's been basically their first respectable showing this season. They, of course, still hang in our bottom 10 on the strength of losing to Kansas 55-14 and losing to Buffalo 42-13. So we've got Rutgers at a solid number 8. In our bottom 10, the most embarrassing teams in all of college football comes Nebraska. Nebraska, the statistics offensively last weekend against Purdue were glittering. They had 30 first downs. They racked up 582 yards of total offense. This is the most Nebraska has gained on offense in a losing game since 2007 against Colorado. But they also racked up 156 yards of penalties. And the losses are going to keep mounting, I think. Okay, after losing to Purdue this past weekend, 42-28, they've got coming up Wisconsin, Northwestern, Ohio State, Michigan State, Iowa. Nebraska has yet to win, and it's difficult to find wins here. Of course, they replaced the canceled Akron game with Bethune-Cookman. That should be a win. Scott Frost, I have full faith in him rebuilding the Husker program, but for this year, awful. Bottom 10 status, and as he said after the game against Purdue, that he's got a football team that's undisciplined. He also said that by the actions of some of his players that were out dancing and having a good old time, losing by 2 touchdowns, that they must like losing. Scott Frost changing the culture in Lincoln, but it's going to take some time. Nebraska right now in the bottom 10 at number 7. UTEP, this is an easy call. They're a firm number 6. UTEP at 0-5. They now have lost 17 consecutive games, although they had a pretty close call against Texas San Antonio this past weekend, losing just by 9 points. So they're getting closer to a win, but for right now, UTEP 17 straight in the loss column. That's the longest losing streak in the nation. At number 5, we've got San Jose State. Nothing's really awful here. San Jose State actually went to Oregon and played within 12 points in that game of Oregon. as a 42-point underdog. So that's their big effort on the season. But otherwise, the Spartans are 0-4. So not a whole lot of winless teams left in college football after 5 weeks. So you earn your spot if you're winless right now, as San Jose State is at number 4, number 5. All right, I should have put the numbers next to these teams. At number 4 is Oregon State. They're 1-4. They're 0-3 against the FBS. They have been outscored at 164-69. They just lost to Arizona State this past weekend, 52-24. That's just a typical effort. It's not an awful effort out of Oregon State. They could lose 65-0 to Arizona State. It's just a typical effort. It just underlines the state of the program. It's just pathetic at Oregon State right now. They can't beat an FBS team. And again, just a typical loss to Arizona State by 4 touchdowns. At number 3, we cannot say enough about the ACC's performance. We're placing the ACC as a conference at number 3 in the land. A ton of infamous losses this season to the likes of East Carolina by 22 points, losing to Old Dominion, of course, Virginia Tech with that status, that claim this season, losing to ODU by 14 points, a team that's not been able to beat anybody else. The ACC this season is 3-10 against the other 4 conferences, 3-10 against the Power 5. They've lost to Central Florida, South Florida. That doesn't even include those games. So really 3-12 against top quality like competition. The ACC, of course, can thank Duke for winning 2 of those 3 games. So it's Duke at 2-0 against the Power 5. It's the ACC, the rest of the ACC at 1-10. Toss in UCF and USF, and it's 1-12 without Duke. All right, at number 2, we're going to continue to make a little fun of Arkansas. They had a decent, respectable showing against Texas A&M, only losing by a touchdown, 24-17. But the body of work is still sterling here for Arkansas. 0-2 against the Power 5. Lost to North Texas, of course, 44-17. And the real distinction here is, of course, the fake punt return. And Colorado State, another loss. So Arkansas playing better this past week, losing 24-17 to Texas A&M. Their second loss in the SEC after falling to the Auburn Tigers, 31-34-3. And at number 1, this is a clear number 1 for me. It's just the size of the university, playing in a major conference. High expectations considering the coaching change. Just a proud program that I think would surprise a number of people, maybe you, if you looked at the legacy of the program, where it stands all time in wins and conference championships and winning a national championship way back when. And that would be Chip Kelly's UCLA Bruins at 0-5. Couldn't beat Cincinnati, lost by 2 scores, lost by 24 points to Fresno State. So against a group of 5, they're 0-2. That should not happen at really any Pac-12 school, but especially UCLA. 0-2 against the group of 5. They're lower than 120th in the nation in total offense. They're worse than 90th in total defense. So it's a team concept and a team effort here out of UCLA in terms of pathetic play this year. Bottom 30 in defense, bottom 10 to 15 in offense. And where is that first win going to come? I think they've already taken their best shots. This past Friday night, they played a decent Colorado team. It was close for about 2.5 quarters. Then mid-third quarter, they got run out of the stadium by 22 points against Colorado. Look at the UCLA schedule. Find them a win. I think that it's inevitable that they're going to beat somebody, but the Pac-12 did them no favors by not scheduling them to play Oregon State. UCLA, could you imagine UCLA going 0-12? Even if they don't, if they squeak out a win or maybe even 2, UCLA going 2-10 or 1-11 under Chip Kelly, disaster. All right, there's the bottom 10. UConn at number 10. Florida State replaced by Louisville at number 9. Rutgers 8, Nebraska 7. UTEP with their 17 consecutive losses at number 6. San Jose State at 5. Oregon State 4, the entire ACC performance at number 3. Arkansas 2, and UCLA at number 1. That's my bottom 10. Would love to hear from you. right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please like, comment, and subscribe.